Alright, welcome back to DecryptedTech's continuing coverage of Windows 8 Consumer Preview Program. Today we're going to take a look at something a little bit different. Microsoft has put up some information about Internet Explorer 10 and the Metro experience, as well as Internet Explorer 10 on the desktop. So we're going to take a look at this on an actual desktop, running it straight from the Metro interface, the start screen, and we're also going to take a look at it on our SUSE EEE slate EP121. We're going to show you some of those features and also show you how some of those don't necessarily work unless you use this exactly the way that Microsoft wants you to. Some of this ties into their mail application, allowing those features to work, which as of right now they do not allow you to really tie into items such as an independent exchange server. We've had issues with that we're still working on resolving. It's a good interface, but there are some problems with it, and although we've read the Building Windows 8 blog, which is a very good blog, it's still skipping over some of the details that people are going to want to know, and we hope that these issues that we've identified are actually corrected before it's released. We're imagining they will be, but there's still things that need to be taken care of. When you open it up, you can see you do have your address bar. That's going to quickly go away. It'll drop back down. You have a nice animated intro here on Bing. It's all about Windows 8. And you go in here and you see you have your frequent, you have your pinned. We don't have any pages pinned here, but we're just going to go to, and it'll actually start to pull up suggestions as you type in, based on where you've been before. Sorry, my typing's not that great this morning. So we go here, and one of the first things you're going to notice is that there is no plugin support for Flash, for Shockwave, or for many of those other items. So although we pick up a lot of this, we lose our advertisement here, it's not going to show it, and we lose our advertisement down here. Anything that's written in Flash, including our tag cloud, disappears. It's just not able to process it because, again, the Windows 8 Metro UI here, this interface in Internet Explorer 10, has no support for plugins. This is also going to translate over into some things such as PDF, which is why Microsoft has included a reader that has support for the PDF format. Now you can look up here, you can open up new tabs if you want, so we could do that, and then it's going to pull us back to our pin. So let's go to CNET. See, it's going to pull it up here automatically, so we can click on that and it'll bring up the page. And CNET, they've done a lot of their stuff in HTML5, so it's going to pull it up properly, even though it's still not exactly the same look that you might be used to with CNET. It's a little bit of a different page here. Not terribly, but it's still nice. And we'll go back in, we'll hit this again, we'll open up another new tab, and you can see now that we have even more information. So our frequencies have changed based on the places that we've been to. You can see here we looked up the issue that we had with BioShock in our gaming preview. Support, these are our links to download AMD's drivers, and of course daemon tools. So we can pin any one of these, but as of right now we just don't have anything pinned. So let's go ahead and we'll go back to our home page, and we'll hit contact. This is going to bring up our contact page. Actually, that's not. That's going to bring up Newegg. So we'll go ahead and go back here and make sure we're actually on the contact page. So this is something else that we've not run into before. It actually looks like it's not hitting the contact page or letting us hit the contact us link, but actually overriding the with the banner. So again, here we see that we've lost both of our items here, and let's say we just want to go ahead and send something to the news links. It's pulling up the majority of this, but we do still have some issues that are running. We're losing our Flash banners, all of that. Not a terrible deal, but it's going to be a problem because not everybody's ready to code in HTML5, and we doubt they're going to be ready to code in HTML5 by the time Windows 8 actually hits the market. So we'll go ahead and close out some of these. And we'll just take a look at some other pages that we frequented before. Let's just take one. Interestingly enough, iTunes doesn't show up as a suggestion. So iTunes pulls up without any issues. You do still have your icons down here. Let's take a look at, let's see, New York Times. And again, these are all ones that have moved to HTML5, except for right here. You can see that the videos that they drop in here that should pull up automatically are telling us that we don't have Flash Player. And we can download and install Adobe Flash Player, but it's not going to work until you get to the desktop. So let's go ahead and let's get back to the Start menu. And let's open up the desktop and show you the differences here if you use the desktop version. Let's close this. Alright. Here it's going to tell you need to install the Flash Player, which is fine. We can go ahead and get that installed. But once it does, it's actually going to operate. We have a feeling that despite Microsoft's desire to use the Metro UI interface and to push the Metro UI interface with Internet Explorer, what you're going to see is you're going to continue to see that piece of it not really work from the majority of people. People are going to still want Flash. In fact, Apple ran into that. Even Android has run into that on some of their phones that don't have support for Flash. You see where people will pick one phone over another because of its Flash support for their web browsing. It's going to impact things such as animated menus, our search feature, which is, the drop down is actually a Flash animation. All of this is going to be impacted into the user experience, and with the state of HTML5 right now, it's not actually ready for people to start moving into it. There's still security holes. There's almost as many security holes in HTML5 at this point as there are in Flash. So moving in that direction is not going to be an option, or there's going to be some resistance, let's just say, to moving in that direction. We have chosen not to move in that direction specifically because of some of the holes in HTML5 that we're concerned about. We would actually prefer to continue moving, using Flash and continue using the format that we have right now. Again, the majority of our features are going to work. What we're not going to have is we're just not going to have some of the other items that will pop up, again, like advertisements that we get from Google or from whoever is advertising on the site. So you see there the actual desktop web browser, I guess is the way of putting it, instead of the Metro UI. And this is on a desktop PC. And one of the nice things about this, it's really, Internet Explorer 10 for the Metro UI is really all about running and for touch. You can tell that. For example, let's go back to this one here, and we'll drop in CNET, and then we'll change this to something else, iTunes, and then we'll go somewhere else, I don't know, Microsoft. And the nice thing about this is that you can move back and forth between your pages just by simply moving your arrows over to the edge of the screen. It really works out well. Now, going back to some of the things that we talked about where you need to have those integrated features, if you look at anything that has an email address that requires you to pop up that email address, what you're going to see is that it's going to want to pull up an application that ties into Internet Explorer 10. Built in right now is going to be the Mail application. When you click on that, it's going to pull that up, and it's going to allow you to pull it out. So let's get back down here. The thing about the Mail application as it currently stands is it wants you to use it wants you to use a Microsoft address. It's not going to let us put in what we want, especially if you're not running, let's say, a Google Exchange server or a GoDaddy Exchange server. If you're running your own, 9 times out of 10 it's not going to pull it up. It's going to have issues with that. We found that with ours that we run separate from our website, and it just doesn't like to connect to it, even though we've installed everything that we need to and has it working in both Android and in Apple operating systems to connect to our Microsoft 2010 Exchange server. So as of right now, the Microsoft Mail program doesn't want to do that. We can connect to Windows Live account, we can connect to a great many other things, but we just haven't been able to get it to connect properly into an Exchange 2010 account. And we've even had issues with some of the big players such as GoDaddy, where this tells you that it can't connect to it, almost as if the server is unreachable, entirely unreachable, despite being able to ping the server, being able to identify the server, being able to hit it through the web. any of those things. It's not one of those things that we're able to get it to function with and get it to run properly at this time. This may be something that they correct in the future. In fact, we imagine that they will correct this in the future so that it's a little bit broader. We know Microsoft is also narrowing down on that. They want you to use the bigger services. They want you to use their services. And that's one of the fears that we have with Windows 8 at this moment, is that they're moving in a direction that has not been a strength for other manufacturers. If a recent poll was done looking at Android versus the iOS, and a lot of people that liked Android, one of their primary things that they liked about it was its flexibility, that you could change things, that you could move things around. It was not a locked down and restricted operating system. This is something that is also one of the things that people like about Microsoft Windows. You know, I know there's a lot of things that people hate about Microsoft Windows, but this is one of those things that they like about it. You can install what you want. You can put the programs where you want them. You can drag and drop them all over the place, put them down in the taskbar, all of that. With the move to the Metro UI, it's much more of a restricted feel and interface with this. There's some customization, but it's very limited. And programs such as Mail are actually going to restrict some of that, and that we feel is just going to become an issue later on down the road. So we're going to go ahead and try and sign in here, and we'll show you what we're talking about. See, the email address or password is incorrect. So unfortunately, you need to use a Microsoft account to sign in with Mail. So we can't connect to Exchange right now, which is a problem. We would want to use Microsoft Mail with another account. This is going back to when they had Outlook Express, and that was a program that many people disliked. You can install Outlook on here if you want to run Office 2010, and of course Office 2000. I believe it's Office version 15, which I think is going to be Office 2013, is also going to run on this platform as well. And in fact, Microsoft appears to be planning to embed it into their ARM version of Windows 8. But at this point, it's still pretty restrictive. This Mail application is only going to let you connect to a Windows Live account. Messaging is only going to let you connect to a Windows Live account. It's very restrictive, even though it's supposed to be, from Microsoft's conversations, to be much more flexible. This is a very limiting application. It's pushing everything towards Microsoft, which is something that people don't like. They've expressed that before. They want to have that flexibility to install and run what they want. Sure, you can throw Skype on here and other programs, but at that point, these applications here that are a part of the Metro UI become useless to you. So this entire format becomes like a fifth wheel that you're not going to utilize. It's just not going to be efficient for the desktop user. And in the end, if somebody has an x86 tablet, it won't become efficient for them. It will only be an ARM-based feature, and at that point, you're still looking at having two different operating systems with two different feels. So this covers our brief look into Windows 8 on the and with Microsoft Internet Explorer 10. Again, there are some additional things that you can do with it, but there's a lot that you still can't do with it at this point in the customer preview program and where we're at. We're going to take a look now, and we're going to move over to our slate, and we're going to show you how it operates on there and show you just exactly what we were talking about, where it's meant much more for the touch interface, and Microsoft is definitely moving in that direction over the traditional desktop interface. Our feeling at this point, looking at the operating system, is still that people who are running this on a desktop are going to spend most of their time on the desktop. They're not going to want to spend a ton of time in the Metro UI. It's just not going to be efficient. The problem is that now Microsoft has taken away the start button. So they're forcing you to use that start screen, which is not a very efficient use of space. It actually is going to drag things out, make them much larger, and there are still some applications that just will not launch from the Metro UI because what's thrown up there, the Metro UI doesn't think it's a correct pointer. And when you do open it up, it brings you right back to the desktop anyway, so what is the point of doing that? Anyway, we're going to move over to our tablet and show you some more of Internet Explorer 10 on the tablet. We also have Office actually installed on the tablet, so we can show you some of that interaction there.